So the first slide you see there on my presentations, and I do a few of these around, I always start out with, I have a friend who lives on Long Island in New York. I've known him since just before law school and back in 1976. He's a big horse player. In fact, he qualified for a national handicapping tournament that's going to be held in Las Vegas in August. And I'm going to go out to Vegas in August to cheer him on in the nationwide handicapping contest. But he always used to say, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win. So go ahead, Jess, one more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you can get is a little money. Don't get too hung up on the $100 bills or the $50 bills, even though those would be nice if you get them. So we just want to have some fun when we go to the track and enjoy ourselves. All right, Jess, go ahead. So some of the betting basics we're going to cover with this was true even before COVID, but in our current societal situation, it might be even a little more applicable now, the betting online options. We'll talk a little bit about those. Cover the basics of betting. I'm not going to get into super pick sixes or superfectas or pick sixes or pick fours or pick threes. We're just going to cover some of the basic about betting and odds. We'll talk about the types of bet primarily today. We're just going to talk about win, place, show, and exacta, and I'll talk a little bit about trifectas and supers. But as a rule, you can make any bet you want, and I don't care if you bet horse number 4 because the horse's name is Gertie Birdie, and you have an aunt who lives in Washington State who's named Birdie, and you want to bet it because of that. That's as good a reason as any.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little logic to it, but it's about having fun as well. So, and we'll talk a little bit about betting terms, and then I've got a couple of horses that I'm going to throw out there for you to look at for this year's Derby. Okay, Jess, go ahead. Okay, so betting online, there are a whole lot more options than what you see on your screen right now. The Twin Spires is Churchill Downs version of an online app that allows you to place bets. TVG, there's a channel on cable I'm sure you have. That's TVG you can see. USARacing.com, ExpressBet.com, Brisnet.com. There are literally scores of options for online betting. And basically, you open an account with them, you make a deposit, and then you bet on their app or on your laptop or on your mobile device. You can use any of those to make your bets. A lot of them this time of year, especially if you don't have an account like that and are considering opening one up, you can go. A lot of them offer a sign-up bonus of, for if you put $100 in, they'll give you $20 worth of free bets, and that's not a scam because I did it a few years ago when I first opened an account. And at the time, if you put $200 in, they gave you $50 worth of free bets. And most people, when they get free bets, they bet really long shots because it's not really costing them anything. So why not take a chance on winning some money? And it's like a Venmo or a PayPal, if you're familiar with that. You put money in there and then you can take money out. Just be careful when you go to take the money out. If you want it that day transferred to the same account you used to put the money into the account, there may be a small charge for that. I believe Venmo does you that way, which has nothing to do with horse race betting, but just it's very similar in the way it works as far as putting money in and getting money out. Okay, Jess? Okay, betting at the track, as far as I'm concerned, is better than betting at the casino. Because and the main reason for that is at the track, you are betting against each other. So the track and the state gets their cut out of all the money bet, regardless of who wins. So if there is, let's just take an average race. Let's say there's $100,000 bet on a race. Win bets, place bets, show bets, exactas, trifectas, superfectas. There's $100,000 bet. Well, the track takes off the top, depending on where the track is, anywhere from 28 to 33%. That pays the state tax they owe on that, and they have a margin there for operations. Whatever is left is what gets split up among the winning tickets. So you have, so let's, using round numbers again. So if they take 30% of 100,000, so that's $70,000 they have left to pay out to the bettors. So depending on how many tickets they have to pay will determine how much the payoff is. So if they have $70,000 to pay out, and there's 1,000 tickets, just like tickets, that would be $7 each you would pay for those tickets. And that's probably a little bit oversimplification. But at the track, you're literally betting against the other people there. Now, if you go to the casino, you're betting against the casino. And if you play blackjack, I know you think that, you know, the person sitting next to you that split the tens is messing you up and costing you money. Well, we could argue for hours and hours about that. But in the long run, the casinos, every single bet in a casino, the odds are in the casino's favor. They don't build those huge hotels and casinos by losing money. That doesn't mean you can't sit down there and play blackjack for a couple of hours and win a couple of $100. And if you do, you know, you should color up your chips, go to the cashier's cage, get your money, drop $10, drop $10 in the Hail Mary box at church, and go out and have a nice dinner on the $190 that you won. Because in the long run, the casinos always win, because every single bet, the odds they pay are in the favor of the casino. If you play roulette, to give you an example, there are 38 numbers on a roulette wheel, 1 through 36, and then there's 0 and double 0. So there are 38 numbers on the wheel. So there are 38 possible outcomes when they spin the wheel on which number that little marble is going to come to rest in. And if you happen to have a chip on that number that the little white marble lands in, they're going to pay you 35 to 1. Okay, even though the true odds are 38 to 1. So that's an example of an edge in a casino bet. They pay you less than true odds on everything, and that's where they make their money. Okay, Jess, let's go ahead. And if this gets boring and you start snoring, please turn your mute button on. Because I was on a phone call earlier when we were getting ready to do this, and I forgot I didn't have my mute button on, and Jessica heard me talking about her to one of my friends. So, okay, so let's talk about types of bets. At a very high level, there are a couple of categories of wagers when you go to the track. There's straight wagers and it's exotic wagers. So from a straight wager perspective, and probably for the beginner, it's what I would recommend you stick to start out until you get a better feel for how things go. That's win, place, and show betting, or across the board. You can bet $2 minimum. That's if you bet across the board, that's 3 different bets. And you can make some money depending on how lucky you are or how skilled you become on picking the horses. But it's fun. And, you know, if I forgot what I called her now, if Gertie Birdie, you know, wins, you're going to be tickled to death that Gertie Birdie won, and you're going to get some money back. It didn't have to be a lot. The thrill to me is coming up to the race, and when they turn them loose, and then watching them come down the stretch and trying to follow your horse all the way around the track, which can be depressing at times, which is why they sell a lot of alcohol at the track. Next slide, Jess. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about straight wagers. So win, place, or show, and across the board. So when you bet a horse to win, you're betting that horse will come in first. So if you bet $2 on number one to win, then that horse has, number one has to win for you to have a winning ticket. If you were to bet number one to win and to place, that's first or second, and he runs first or second, then you're going to cash for something. Now, in that example, if you bet $2 to win on number one and $2 to place on number one, and he wins, then you will cash your win ticket and your place ticket. If you bet $2 to win on number one and $2 to place on number one, and he comes in second, then your win ticket is no good because he didn't win, but you will cash the place bet. And as a rule, and I'll explain pools a little later on, the place and show payoffs are less than the win payoff amount. And usually the place payoff amount is more than the show payoff amount. So win, place, and show, excuse me, it's a track's way of saying first, second, and third. And then across the board, if you want to get really bold, you can bet $2 across the board on number one, which means you're going to cash if he comes in first, second, or third. Win, place, show. And just like on the win, place bet, and the horse ran second, if you bet a horse to win, place, or show, or if you bet a horse across the board, and the horse comes in third, your win bet doesn't pay out because the horse didn't win. Your place bet doesn't pay because the horse didn't place. And the show bet is the one you'll collect. But that way, if you get edged out at the wire or it's real close, at least you'll get a little bit. You'll get a little bit of the action. Real serious gamblers very seldom place an across the board kind of bet. Unless it's just a huge long shot, then they might do that. Okay, Jess, next. Okay, so here's an example now, maybe a little easier to see. So here was the 137th Kentucky Derby. Horse number 16, to the left of the screen there, named Animal Kingdom, won the Derby. And there, you see those three amounts, $43, $19, and $13. That's the win. So if you had a $2, if you had $2 to win on number 16, when you went to the window, they would give you $43.80 back. If you had a $2 place bet on number 16, they would give you $19.60 back. And if you had a $2 show bet on number 16, they would give you $13 back. That obviously was a long shot at about 20 to a little better than 20 to 1. Now, if you look at the second horse there, number 19, Nero, you'll notice underneath the 43.80, there's nothing down there. That's because 43.80, that first column is the win payout. So he didn't win, so there's no money there. So if you had bet him to win in place, you would be collecting $8.80 off your place bet. Similarly, if you look at number 13, the third place finisher, Mucho Macho Man, and you had $2 across the board on Mucho Macho Man, he didn't win, so you don't get the win money. He didn't place, you don't get the place money, but you would get the $7 show money, which if you bet two across, he runs third, he pays $7, you made $1. Okay, better than losing $6, better than losing $4. You made a little something. And then there's some of those exotic kind of wagers at the bottom. There's the exacta. For an exacta, you have to pick the first and second place finishers in a race. And if you had bet, if you look back up at the top there, number 16 and number 19. So if you had a $2 exacta, 16, 19, that's the order they came in, it would have paid $329.80. And that's because, that's big because that, if you look back at Animal Kingdom up there at $43, that was a huge long shot on top. And it's not terribly uncommon for people to box their exactas or trifectas or supers. But what boxing means is, you know, what if you had 19 and 16 had been your bet and it was a photo finish and number 16 just barely edged out number 19, which you did, but you bet 19-16, which that ticket's no good because it came 16-19. If you box it, you get those two horses in either order. So if you bet a $2 exacta box, 16-19, then you get them if they come 16-19 or 19-16. That doubles your bet because you actually have two bets there. So if you do a $2 exacta box on two horses, that costs you $4. Excuse me, but it's because you have two individual $2 bet, even though it's on one ticket. Sorry, excuse me, I had to get a little drink of water there. Trifectas, which we won't spend a lot of time on, but that's where you pick the first three finishers in a race. So if you look at the payout board, those horses ran 16, 19, and 13. So if you had bet a $2 trifecta, 16, 19, 13, it would have paid you $3,900. Same story on the box. If you had bet 16, 13, 19, or 13, 16, 19, it wouldn't pay on a straight $2 trifecta. But you could, for 3 times the bet a $2 trifecta box, 13, 16, 19, and as long as those 3 horses come in any order, first, second, or third, you would get the trifecta payout. Okay? And if there's any questions coming in, Jess, you'll be monitoring for me, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead to the next one.
Sorry, I couldn't move my mouse fast enough. Yes, I will let you know if we got any questions.
Okay, cool. All right. So I've kind of explained this a little bit, and I'm not going to read this whole thing to you again. But exactas are the first. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Exactas are picking the first and second place horse in a race. Trifectas are picking the first 3 horses in a race. Those horses that run first, second, and third. A superfecta is where you pick the first 4 finishers in a race, which can get quite expensive, but they do have 10 cent, literally a dime superfectas as long as you box them. So you have to pick 4 horses to bet a superfecta. That's what a superfecta is, the first 4 finishers. So if you bet 1, 2, 3, 4 superfecta box, the way you determine what that cost is, if I bet a 1, 2, 3, 4 superfecta box, then I have 4 choices of a horse that can finish third, either 1, 2, 3, or 4. So let's say number 1 wins. So now when it comes to running second, I only have 3 choices left, 2, 3, or 4. And third, I would only have 2 choices left. And fourth, I would only have 1 horse left. So I have 4 chances on the win, 3 chances on second, 2 chances on who runs third, and 1 chance on who runs fourth. Now go back and multiply those. So 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is 24. So if you bet a $1 superfecta box, it would cost you $24. But those 4 horses would have to come, you boxed them in any order, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They also have a daily double, an early or a late, which you pick, for example, the early double is usually you pick the winner of race number 1 and the winner of race number 2. And then throughout the day, they'll have pick 3s, pick 4, pick 5, pick 6s. Excuse me. Which you pick the winner of 3 consecutive races or 4 consecutive races, 5, 6 consecutive races. And you have to have them all to make that work. And of course, every year you have the Oaks Derby double, which obviously you have to bet on Oaks Day. But if you're doing it virtually, it doesn't require a trip to the track to do that. But the Oaks Derby double is picking the winner of the Oaks and the winner of the Derby on the same ticket. So let's say you like number 4 in the Oaks and you like number 5 in the Derby, then you'd want an Oaks Derby double 4 and 5. That's a $2 bet. And those things can pay. Those things can pay pretty good. A little bit harder than an exacta because you're handicapping 2 races. You got to pick, the Oaks maybe 10 or 12. You got to pick the winner of out of 10 or 12 horses, and the Derby might be as many as 20. You got to pick a winner out of 20 horses, 1 horses. And all those have combinations where, you can bet 3 horse, you can pick 3 Oaks horses and a Derby horse, and that's just cost you 3 times as much because you've got 3 times as many bets. Excuse me. Okay, Jess. Her mouse is slow again. All right, Jess, whenever you're ready. Oh, you got fancy. Okay. All right, so we're going to go over just a little bit. When you see that tote board out there, you got a little bit older picture, but the concept are the same. There are lots of people that go to the track that don't really understand, that understand very little about it. And that's okay. If they're having a mint julep or they're having a beer or they're having a sweet tea, but they're outside and they're having fun and they're yelling and screaming for their horse, good for them. That's okay. Let them get in there and bet. And that way you can win more of their money because you know more about it than they do. When we look at the tote board, what you see out there largely are the odds to win on each horse. They don't tell you exactly what that'll pay, but we're going to go over how you determine what a win bet will pay looking at the odds on the board. For example, if you see a horse that's, skip down to the bottom line there. If you see a horse that's 2 to 1, that means you get $2 profit for every $1 you wagers. So if you bet $2 on a horse to win, that was 2 to 1, and he won. All right, first off, you get your $2 back that you bet because it's a winning ticket. And you get $2 for every other dollar you bet. For every $1 you bet, well, you bet $2, so that would be $4 you would get. So they're going to give you $6 for that $2 win bet on a 2 to 1 horse. And then you see odd numbers up there like 6 to 5, 7 to 5, 3 to 2. 6 to 5 means you get $6 for every $5 that you bet. So if you bet 5 to win on a 6 to 5 horse, that's going to pay you $11. It's going to pay you $5 that you bet plus the 6 you won for having the winning bet. 6 to 5 pays $11. And it's all just math. I'm sorry, excuse me. Jessica, next slide. Okay, so as you look at this, they still have this up out there, but now they got the big screens and all that other stuff. But you look at this picture. We'll start in the top left corner. Race number 5. They're running, so the post time is gone blank now. But if this race went off at 1:30, that'd be 1:30 in the post time. The track's fast. That's a condition of the dirt track. Now go back to the left again and down to the MTP, minutes to post. So this race is gone. So if this race goes at 1:30 and it's 1:25, that minutes to post would say 5. There's 5 minutes to post till they start the race. There's the time of day. Then you see turf, and underneath turf, you see good. That's a condition of the grass track. Okay, now let's go over to the pool totals column. So in this race, and there's no way of us knowing exactly which race this is, but to win on all horses in this race, there's been $427,671 bet to win. So if you continue to the right, you see the big white one up there. That's horse number 1. His current odds to win are 14-1. There's been $23,705 bet to win on horse number 1. Go one column more over, horse number 2. He's 16-1. There's been $20,700 bet on him. And if you go to number 3, he's 3-1, which is more of a favorite. But if you look, he's got $90,000 bet on him. That's why the odds are lower, because there are more winning. There are more dollars bet on him, so they're going to have to. There's more winning tickets out there to pay off. Okay, go back to column 1 there. To go back to horse number 1 there. You see the 23,000. You see the pool totals place. The place, second place, in other words, running second. 156,005 has been bet on all the horses in this race to run second. Jump one to the right, $9,200 has been bet on number 1 to place. $7,200 to keep going right has been bet on number 2 to place. And $28,000 has been bet on number 3 to place. And in the show pool, which is a third place pool, $96,000 has been bet on horses to run third in this race. And as you read across there, you can see how much has been bet on each horse. So if you look at horse number 3, he had 90,000 bet on him to win, 28,000 bet on him to place, and 17,000 bet on him to show. So that horse has 45 and 90, $135,000 bet on him to come in the money, which means first, second, or third. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then most any racing form or racing program that you get, they'll have betting basics in there as well. And this is pretty common to see in a program to show you payouts for $2 win bets. And like earlier, we had said 2-1. If you look at the second column, the third one down, 2-1 pays you $6. Now you look at 1-5. Wow, you bet $2 and you get $2.40 back. That means almost everybody at the track seems to have bet on that horse and driven his odds down to 1-5. But if you look all the way at the bottom of the right-hand column, 50-1 odds gives you your $2 back, and then $2 times 50 is 100. So you get $102 if your horse wins at 50-1 and you have a $2 win bet. So it's basic math, but sometimes it's, you're having fun and you just want to look and see, well, what if I bet that 9-2 horse, what would that pay? Well, there you can look in here, see that pay $11 to win. All right, Jess. All right. Yeah, if you really want to get a headache, when you look at the program, and I'm not going to read everything on this slide to you, but let's just look across the top up there. You see the big number 6. Well, that's the race number 6. And right under that, 5/2. That means when they printed this program, the morning line, there are a couple of guys out the track that set the morning line as 5-2. And we all know that a 5-2 bet pays $7 because of the study you just did on the last 2 slides we went through. If you look right below the 5-2, you see the jockey's name and parens underneath that. That means this meet at this track, T.J. Thompson, the jockey, has ridden in 11 races. He has won 4. He has come in second 0 times, and he has 1 third-place finish. So you'll hear the term in the money, which we said a minute ago, meaning first, second, or third. So he has been in the money in 36% of the races. A lot of people love to bet on jockeys. And if any of you are old enough to remember Pat Day, everybody loved Pat Day. You could put Pat Day on a billy goat and he would go off at 2-1, racing against thoroughbreds. And, you know, most of the time he would win on the billy goat. But a lot of people follow jockeys. Now let's go to the middle column there. Where you see the sire, that's the daddy and the granddaddy. The dams is the mama and her granddaddy. And then the breeders under that, Bluegrass Hall. And the trainer on this particular horse was D. Wayne Lucas. And D. Wayne Lucas is still, he's got to be, I don't know, 120 years old. Seriously, D. Wayne's got to be in his 70s or 80s, but he still trains. But that's his performance record after his name as well. So at this track, at this meet, he has had horses run in 5 races. And he has come in first once, and he has come in third once.
Dad,
So-
you're 2 years away from being 70, so I don't know. You might be careful there.
Oh, thanks. They can't see me right now, can they? Okay. good.
Yep, they can.
Can they hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to give you a smart aleck answer back. Yeah. And Lucas is probably 90. He's very old. That's right. You know, 70's not old at all. The 115, a little further to the right, that's how much weight is carried by the jockey. And you see those jockeys weigh after the race. They actually weigh before the race. They weigh coming into the paddock, and they weigh when they dismount at the end of the race. So to make it fair, the Derby, I think every horse carries 124 pounds. So, well, wait a minute, my jockey only weighs 120 pounds. Well, that's the jockey and the saddle. Well, my jockey only weighs 122 pounds holding his saddle. Well, then they'll put 2 pounds worth of weight in his saddle. So every horse is carrying the same amount of weight. Now, occasionally, in a lot of baby races, first-time horses, second-time horses, non-winner, horse never won a race, they will make some allowances for that. And you might see a race where one horse is carrying 115 and one horse is carrying 111 pounds. Could be a rookie jockey that they give a little handicap to there. But 90% of the races, every horse in the race carries the same amount of weight. We doing okay on time? No, I need to speed up. All right, one more thing to look at here. You see see the 115, go over to the right to the next column there. In this horse's life, he has run 5 races, and he has 1 first, 1 second, and 1 third. 2011, which happens to be this year, that tells you how old this program is. There's those 5 races. He didn't race in 2010. He didn't race at Oaklawn Park, which is obviously OP. So he has no history at this track. If he had run at Churchill Downs, instead of OP, that would be CD there, and it would tell you how he does at Churchill Downs. That's another way a lot of people look at horses. They say horses for courses. Well, yeah, this horse doesn't seem to do any good unless he's running at Keeneland, or he doesn't do any good. He's from New York. He only runs well when he's running at Belmont or Aqueduct. So, or the Spa or Saratoga. So a lot of people like to look at how a horse is doing at this track that you're running on today that you're betting them on. And if they show a lot of success here and not much anywhere else, you ought to weigh that into your decision making when you're picking that horse that he seems to like this track. All right, and Jess, I'm gonna skip the rest of that one. And if anybody has questions, we can sure come back to this. Go ahead, Jess, next slide. I'm thinking we're not into, all right, okay, so you're at the track. Let's say you're at the track. If you're new, I don't know, it depends. You know, my wife doesn't like to go up to the window, and that's going to be somewhat restricted because of COVID and because they've cut back a lot of the tellers out there. They're trying to get everybody to go to the machine. My wife would much rather go to a machine, feed it when we get there. If she takes $100 to bet for the day, she'll go ahead and put $100 in the machine. It will spit her out a ticket that's worth $100. Then when she wants to go bet on a race, you go back to the machine, you plug that ticket in, it'll come up and say your balance is $100. Hit this button to place a bet. So you hit place bet. It's going to come up and ask you what track do you want to bet at. So as you know, you can go right out to Churchill Downs, or you sit right at your den with Twin Spires account, and you can bet Aqueduct, Saratoga, Hollywood Park in California. You know, you can bet Florida track. You can bet any track anywhere in the country. Forget the country. You can bet them. If you have trouble sleeping like me, you know, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can bet horse races in England, okay, and watch them live on TVG. So probably got a problem there. I shouldn't have confessed that to you all. But when you go to the track, some people like using the machine because you can kind of take your time. You know, there's not some guy, my wife thinks, sitting there looking at her like she's afraid she's going to say something wrong or say something out of order. So, you know, you can use the machine. Or if you go up to the window where there's a live person sitting there, they're all good. They're all good. But this is the way you should place a bet when you go to the window. You should say, for example, I want to bet Churchill Downs, race number 4, $2 to win on number 3. And then he'll say, is there anything else? And you'll say, no, that's it. He'll hit a button and a ticket will kind of jump up there. He'll take your money. 2 bits of advice. If you do it at the window, look at your ticket before you back away from the window. So it's particularly easy if he's giving you change, gave him a 20 and you only bet $2 while he's counting out the $18. And they are quick. Look at your ticket and be sure it says $2 to win on number 3 at Churchill Downs, because that's what you wanted to do. And number 4, and the second tip, when you're getting ready to go up to the window, and for beginners, or if you have a lot of different bets you want to make, write them down on your program, write them down on your hand, write them down on a piece of scrap paper. You know, so when you get to and have your money ready, nothing worse than going to a window to bet. There's 3 or 4 people in line in front of you. It's 1 minute to post, 1 minute so this next race starts that you want to bet on because somebody gave you a tip on a 40-to-1 shot that's going to make your house payment for the month. And somebody walks up to the window, and the first thing they do is reach into their purse or wallet and start looking for money. And then they say, well, I think I kind of like number 2. No, get out of line. Let me up front. I need to get my bets down. So when you go to the window, just be prepared when you go to the window. Have your money out. Know what track, what race, what horse, what type of wager that you want to make. Because especially later in the day, and if you're out there on busy days, believe it or not, there are rude people in this world that will say not very nice things about you if there are 4 or 5 behind you in line and you're still trying to figure out which horse you want to bet when you're standing at the window. So just be prepared when you go to the window and check your ticket before you walk away to the window. If you grab your ticket and get out of line because people are yelling at you because you took a little extra time and you get halfway back to your seat and you realize you bet the wrong track, or you bet the wrong horse, or you bet the wrong time. I wanted to bet win. This ticket says show. Good luck on taking that back to the window and doing anything with it. Some folks out there, it's like at a restaurant or a bar. If you can, go to the same window. those people out there, they're customer service. They're taking your money and they're getting paid well for it. But, you know, if they see you, they know, oh yeah, he was here before. You might be able to do something with that, but you're better off checking your ticket before you leave the window. Okay, Jess. Okay, here we go. The good news. You're betting against the other people. So you might want to do a little research before you go. You know, you can go now to, I used to get them at Walgreens. You can go to a lot of liquor stores. You can go to CVS. There's a lot of places you can go and get a program if you want to look at it before you go to the track and be able to kind of enjoy your day at the track a little more. I think the last time we actually went to the track, now they give you a program when you walk in. Each patron who buys a ticket and comes in, gets a free program. So, and we went over the pari-mutuel bit earlier, where the track collects all the money. They take their cut and the stage cuts off the top. They don't care who wins. They probably wish long shots would win because they'd have fewer tickets to cash. The lines would be as long. And the government definitely wants a long shot to win in case you get an IRS ticket of a bet paying more than 200 to 1 odds, then you would be getting a 1099-G next year. And you have to claim that income on your tax return when you do your 1040 for the year. Okay, Jess. All right, so here's the most important tips. You know, just don't bet more than you can afford to lose. That sounds like such common sense, but I know so many people who can't quite follow that. You know, treat it like a night out. If you and your wife or husband or partner or kids or friends, you know, if you're going to go out on dinner and out dancing, drinking, to a movie, whatever you do, night golf, and you're going to blow $150 or $100, then, you know, just treat it like a night out. Just take $100 and go to the track. And that's it. When you lose that, you're done. You don't need to leave your debit card at home, leave your credit card at home. Set a limit. If I go with $100 and I don't have any other way to get any more money, guess what? The worst I can do is lose $100. Have fun. I know it's easier to fun when you win. It's easier to have fun when you're winning, but you can have fun. If you're with a group, you can have fun if your horse wins or not. And you also remember, you know, you don't have to bet every race. There's no rule. There's no tally stick out there. There's no punch card that you have to get a card punched every time you bet a race. And if you didn't bet the last one, you can't bet the next one. You don't have to bet every race. You can still pick a horse in your head. You know, you and the people you're with, you can tear up, if there's 8 horses in a race, write 1 through 8 on 8 pieces of paper, wad it up, put it in a hat. Everybody puts in $1 and draw a number out of a hat. And whoever has the winning horse number gets the $8. There's real ways to have fun because it's real money. And which is why I don't like my wife using the machine. You know, if you go in at the first of the day and you put $100 in there and you never have to reach in your wallet and get money again, it's almost like, well, I'm not spending real money. It's just a piece of paper. No, trust me, it's real money. And then once again, just have fun. Okay, Jess. And, you know, it may not be you every race. And I've had plenty of days when I go to the track and there's 10 races and I bet 6 of them and I don't cash a ticket. But guess what? There was somebody else out there that did win. And, you know, that's okay. If I could win every time I went to the track, I wouldn't have a job. I would just go to the track every day and that would be my job. Okay, Jess? All right. For this year, everybody pretty much likes essential quality, and I like essential quality too. But if you want a little bit of a long shot, I like known agenda. 12 to 1 is the current odds on known agenda. Essential quality is currently a 5 to 2 morning line choice for right now. But usually before I do a lot of handicapping, I like to watch the post position draws and see which post which position in the gate they're going to come out of. There are historically better positions. It's better for your horse to start out of the 5 position than it is out of the 1 position. You can win from any of them. It's better to start at position 6 than it is post position 20. But we've seen a couple of years ago, that's not 100% either, but nothing's 100%, or everybody would win all the time. So that's a couple of tips for there. And then if you remember 2019, my last tip, when we had a Derby winner and then the inquiry light came on, and then we didn't have a Derby winner, and then the horse that crossed the finish line first and won the Derby didn't actually win the Derby. There were people that late in the day, especially, who had been drinking all day, and they had the horse that didn't win on their ticket, and they just tore it in half and threw it up in the air, or they watered it up and they threw it down and they headed to their car. Wait until they put the payouts up on the board and it says official before you turn in that ticket, before you tear up or destroy what you think is a losing ticket. The tickets, a jockey can cry foul. And when you think about it, you see the horses cross the finish line, they'll run on down past the quarter pole, make the turn a little bit, turn around and come back. When they turn around and come back, they can come in there and cry foul, and then the inquiry light would come on. The racing stewards who are watching the races, they can turn the inquiry light on if they think there's a rule been broken in the race. So just hold on to your ticket. And especially, you know, when you have that big $200 payout, you're able to write off your losses to the point they equal your winnings. So you can't write off that loss. But if you had to claim $200 worth of gambling winnings on your tax return, you can write off $200 worth of gambling losses on your tax return, as long as you have backup for it, which would be those losing tickets. Jess?
All right. Is that the end of your PowerPoint here?
I believe that, I think there's one more.
Oh.
Yeah, there's one more. So if you want to put the screen back up where we can see each other.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions? I don't think we lost anybody.
One person had to leave. She said she was at a tennis match and she had to leave, but she wanted to say thank you. She tuned in from there.
Oh, she was the one that was outside
Yes.
when she first logged in. Okay, cool. All right. Any questions, anybody? I know that was pretty basic, but.
David.
I think
Yes, I had a question about, I don't know if you said this, but I would like to know if you have to pay taxes on all bets or above a certain amount.
Sir, odds. What odds? If you make a wager that pays more than 200 to 1 odds, the odds are what determine that you will get a 1099G. You go to cash that ticket and they'll actually make you fill out a form. Now you can bet $1,000 on an even money horse and they would pay you $2,000 back. But it was even money. It wasn't 200 to 1, so there's no taxes on that. So no,
Okay.
you can cash it. You can cash a big ticket, but without tax implications if you had bet a lot of money to cash that big ticket. And I hope you call me back sometime and say, hey, how can I write this off? I just won $18,000 at the track. Love to help you with that, you know?
Yeah.
That was my question, is about how much money could you win before you had to pay taxes? So it's not the money, it's the odds. Okay.
It's just the odds. If you get with those real long ones,
Okay.
because you see some of those, especially Derby week, you see people out there betting literally. Now this will tell you how far back. No, I can't tell you how far back I go to the track, but I was at the track one time, and I don't know if anybody remembers the name MC Hammer.
Yes.
MC Hammer was sitting about 5 boxes to our left. And of course, he had his entourage there. And he wasn't having a particularly good day. And one race we were watching to kind of see, because, he wound up having a horse that ran second or third in the Derby, I think. He just, threw up in the air, just threw up and tickets just came raining down. Well, obviously those are losing tickets. Well, at the end of the day, I kind of walked over to his box, and he was betting $1,500 to win on number one, but he had 8 or 10 of those tickets. That's one race. So if he had won that, but it was a 2-to-1, he'd have paid him $4,500, but it was only 2-to-1 odds. There's no difference in me betting $20 on that, and winning 55. So it's the odds determine whether or not you get a 1099-G. And if you get one of those, when you go to the window to cash it, there's a form you will have to fill out.
So question, okay, so if you say you got that and you
Yep.
didn't want to pay the taxes,
Yep.
but you already went to the window, they're gonna still make you do the taxes.
Yes.
Okay,
They're going to make you fill out a form acknowledging that you received this much money from Churchill Downs on it's not called a pari-mutuel wager. It tells what kind of wager it is. It's not a lottery ticket or whatever. They mail that to the government. And then at the end of the year, Churchill Downs will mail you a 1099-G, which is for gambling winnings. And it'll show the date, your name and social security number, the date, the amount of the payout, and it'll say when or exact on there. So then when you sit down to do your tax return and you're going through the forms there and it says, well, do you have any 1099 this or that for interest or 1099 dividends or 1099 interest or 1099 gambling winnings or certain government payments?
yeah,
That's where you got to claim it. But you can write off. Let's say you won $500. If you got $500 worth of losing tickets, you can write off $500 worth of losing bets. You just can't write off more than what you won.
oh, okay,
On that form that you have to report.
oh, okay,
Even if you had $800 worth of losing tickets, but the track only sent you a document that said you won 500, you can't write off 800, but you could write off the 500 where it would zero out.
okay.
I hope you have that problem too.
It'd be nice, but I don't go to the track enough.
You know what they call that? Horse sense. The horse sense is why horses don't bet on people, to tell you the truth. That's what horse sense is. But
Dad,
you can have fun if you just set your limits. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great day. It's a great way to spend a day and be with family or friends or high school. There's all kinds you go out there sometimes. There's high school reunions. There's work part there. All this stuff. There's wedding anniversaries. Believe it or not, some people go. We used to go every year on Mother's Day.
Yeah,
I would take my wife and our 4 daughters. Like that was a treat for them. No, that was just another day for Daddy to get to go to the track.
I know,
So I
I'm
told my
like,
wife and
Mother's
kids,
Day,
we're doing
really?
this for Mother's Day, okay?
I used to go with the American Cancer Society for
There
our
you go.
cancer thing, and then I would always go with Spalding University, and
Yep.
then one Don after dark. So that was my 3 times I
Yeah.
would go.
Good for
So I
you.
always went 3 times a year, but last year, we didn't get to go to any of
Yeah.
those. So at least
Yeah,
3 times a year, I think you need to go.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the house, and maybe it's going to lighten up a little bit this year.
Yep.
They've already relaxed restrictions for Derby somewhat, so maybe it'll be a little more normal this summer.
Mhm.
And pray to God, maybe by the fall, maybe it'll be back to fully normal. We'll
At least
just
one time this fall, that'd be nice to
Yeah.
go.
that would be nice. Yeah, we've been there for Thanksgiving before, and
I have too. Yes.
that's
Mhm.
pretty easy not to have to cook all morning and clean
Mhm.
up all afternoon. So
Yeah, I think you need to go at least maybe 2, 3 times a year.
I think you should be a spokesman.
I just usually do that win, place, or show, but I learned a lot tonight, so thank you.
Well, thank you for being patient and listening. I believe you were here last year.
Nope,
not-
this is my
No,
first. Mhm.
Mr. Lynch, were you here last year?
I thought you were, Esther.
Yes, sir, I was.
I thought so. I thought I recognized you.
But
Well,
I'm a slow learner and I like to hear it again.
Yeah.
well, thank you very much. Now, I don't know if Jessica might have recorded this.
I did.
So if you're having trouble sleeping one night, she's going to send you a link, and you can just put this on and just let me bore you to sleep, okay? And it knock you out, okay?
Dad,
Yeah.
you have 2 more questions. Someone put these in the chat, and just
Oh.
correct me if I'm saying these wrong. But somebody asked, what post position has not had a winner? I think that was,
Every-
the question. Is there one?
Every post position has had a winner now.
Cool.
Can you write off losing lottery tickets against race? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So even if you you had a big day at the track, or you had a scratch off that paid $800 or $1,200 or whatever, yeah, that's gambling. Each form you get where you have to claim that as income is from gambling. So that can be any kind of legal gambling that you do. So if you have a scratch off, you could write off scratch off tickets, or you could have where you played a pick six, you played your kids' birthdays every Wednesday and whenever they do the drawings for $1 every week, all those losing tickets. Yes, you can write all that off.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other
I'm
questions?
really experienced on the losing ticket side, not so much on the winning ticket side. But we keep them all anyway, just in case.
I did record this, so I'll download it to my computer and I'll get it up on our YouTube channel. So it'll just be a link. Gilda's Club Kentuckiana has a YouTube channel that you can visit, and I can also send it out to you all. And if you think of questions after the fact, you're welcome to email me and I can get them to Dad. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to ask before we wrap up for the night? I know it's a beautiful sunny evening. I appreciate all of y'all joining us.
But thank you for doing this.
Oh,
I'm glad
I
you
enjoyed
enjoyed it.
doing it. I'm
Yeah,
glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. It's a great job, good information.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I think this is 5 years or 4 years I've been doing this. You know, in the old days, then I'll hug because I know it's been an hour. We did this up at Gilda's Club there on, what was that, Jessica Baxter's?
On Baxter, yeah.
And, you know, one day Pat Day came up there with me and did it with me.
Ooh.
So you talk
Yep.
about some insights into the horses. You could do that. One Robbie Alvarado came up and did it with me, for a younger guy that's a jockey. I'm assuming Robbie still rides. Yeah, he's not that old yet. But it was, you know, but you have to adjust with what we're going through. So this is the best you can do.
This
Yeah,
was nice.
and just stay tuned. Hopefully when we're back in the clubhouse, we'll be bigger and better next year and have, fun and games and all that good stuff once again.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Jessica, you need to organize a Gilda's Day at Churchill Downs.
That would be very fun.
It would be fun.
That would be fun. Instead of taking these people out and having them plant crap in your flower garden at Gilda's Club.
I put them to work.
Take them out
That's
to
my
the,
job.
take them out to the track. Take them to Millionaires Row. Buy 'em
That's a
lunch.
great idea. I'm gonna
Yeah.
think about that. It's a field trip.
You know, and these people that were on here have been faithful to me for the last 4 years. They get first choice on the
Yeah,
seat.
that's right.
Thank you guys very much. I've enjoyed being with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good luck at the track.
You too.